This week on The Wise Guys.
He just fell on the ground and scraped his knee, and then you hand him a lollipop, like, here you go, and he takes it and he's like, thanks. He forgets all about, crying.
It's so true.
It's exactly what's happening now.
Yeah, like putting the Band-Aid on the wound. Yeah.
Oh, here's a lollipop. Forget all about what just happened at the doctor's office.
It's a fact.
Oh, you got people taking selfies in front of some cement that says Black Lives Matter. Whoa. This is about killing people, not, you want to feel famous? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. It's just weird. I mean, and granted, I'm sure it's a nice token of a gesture of love and appreciation, sure, but nobody's really asking for love and appreciation. They just said stop killing us.
Yeah.
And now it's crazy.
It's a fact.
Renaming streets and stuff. I mean, it looks great, man. I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing, but it doesn't solve the problem.
No, it's true.
Because at the end of the day, a cop can shoot you right on Black Lives Matter Avenue. And what did that do? The street name didn't change anything.
Right. No, that's true. It's true. 100%. And,
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Kevin Unglad, and you are now tuning in to the Wise Guys podcast, brought to you by Flowered Concrete. Check it out.
Yo, what's going on? This is your boy, Kevin Unglad.
And this is Mark Pruden.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with another week of the Wise Guys podcast. Mark, how you doing, bro?
Doing well. Can't complain. Just working hard, still grinding. How about you?
Man, I'm doing well too, man. First and foremost, let me just say this. I'm truly exhausted right now. By the time this episode comes out, we'll be halfway. We'll be in September, but August will pretty much be halfway done.
Right.
So this is like a month out, but I'm exhausted, man, at my job. I'm exhausted, but I'm having fun, man. I'm currently working on producing 2 debut studio albums by 2 of my clients at my job, 2 young kids, 2 young gentlemen. And
beautiful.
I never knew how to produce or make music before, Mark. I had to learn on the fly. I literally learned in like the span of 3-4 days, and it's been a hell of a ride, man. I've been having a lot of fun doing it.
That's insane, bro. Just over the past, 3-4 days, you're just cramming in, learning the craft and just creating, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the debut studio album release of both of these young gentlemen, and I'm looking forward to seeing their reaction when they see the people who have put so much time into them the past 2-3 months prior to their discharge see the creative output that they that resulted from the work. Exactly. And as well as what they're doing in general. So it's a lot going on, man. And I don't know. I don't know if this can happen, but I'm gonna try to see if I could talk to my managers and my superiors about when they get home, maybe purchasing or buying them like a beat machine as a thank you gift. Not thank you gift, but as a congratulations gift for going home from the program. I think that would work wonders for them.
Yeah, that would be amazing, man, because just looking at the clips on Instagram, I can tell you really changed their lives. Just gave them something to look forward to and just to express themselves, man. Just something to be interested in outside of, wherever else is going on in their lives. So definitely a new outlet for them.
Right. No, absolutely. It most certainly is. And I'm having so much fun doing it. I'm enjoying it. It's been a thrill. I didn't realize that, I'm not going to say I'm naturally a producer, but being a creative is innate within me. Like, it's just it's another process, but it's still a process. I just love the process, just working through things and just trying to get it out,
Absolutely. I mean, just from watching you as an actor to a poet, I mean, jack of all trades, man. Just the skills come naturally. So it's really cool to see the development over time.
Appreciate you, brother. Likewise. Excellent, man. And it's funny that we're talking about youth and what I've been attempting to accomplish at my current, job, endeavors, working with youth. Because as we mentioned towards the tail end of last week, this week's episode 31, is called Get Out. It's called Get Out, and it's based on my experience, my time working at a private school last year, as I mentioned last week a little bit.
Right.
But it's also, inspired by the movie Get Out itself.
There we go.
As I already said. Man, I want to connect everything that I just said to you about the boys and doing this project.
Right.
Think about everything I just said to you, and I want to kind of give you a timeline on where I am now.
Okay.
And how I got here. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So at the end of the 2018-2019 school year last year, I had completed my 2-year service for Teach for America. Because as you know, I left New York to come to Connecticut to be a part of this Teach for America fellowship program that took, a lot of young urban professionals, as they call us,
right.
and kind of just give us the training and the tools necessary to teach in low-income, impoverished neighborhoods.
Okay.
You know? And I didn't know what I was doing my first year teaching. It was rough. I was trying to figure it out. But once I got it all together, it all pretty much came together and made sense.
Right.
And, I was doing me. So I was being very creative with the kids, having, writing poetry, performing poetry slams, what else did I have them doing? I had them acting in plays and skits and stuff like that. It was a lot that I was doing. A lot of things to make them very productive, and a lot of things too to kind of just show them a new side to presenting information that they probably never had experienced prior. So, man, by the end of 2019, I was burnt out. I was over it. I was like, it's not that I don't like working with the kids within the impoverished schools,
Right.
but I feel as if like it's everything across the board, from their behavior sometimes, to the reception or the lack of reception of what I'm doing by the administrators and the people high above, myself and stuff like that. So I truly felt as if I needed to leave.
Right.
I felt as if it wasn't necessary. I felt as if it wasn't necessary that I stayed there, because I felt as if my growth was being stunted. I wasn't truly living up to my potential as a professional, and I feel as if like I served my purpose, I did what I needed to do, and I outgrew the system. So I decided to apply for a new job.
Right.
So I started to apply for a new job. I got a couple of job offers, and then I got one at this private school. And then I went to the interview, and man, when I tell you, they made me feel so welcomed from the jump, bro. They made me feel so welcomed. I remember them saying, a flower that rose the moment I got into the interview. I was like,
Without ever telling them about it.
anything. They just sat me down. They're like, so Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself. But before you do, a flower that rose. I was like, yeah, that's something I'm working on. They was like, yes, we went to your website, kevinanglais.com. Amazing stuff you're doing. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I've never been in a job interview, especially like for a teaching profession, where they actually went on my website to see what I was up to.
Right.
I was like, man, maybe they truly value creativity here, and maybe I'm not here to be just like an enforcer or like a corrections officer. I'm here to actually teach.
Right.
So I was really happy about that. And long story short, bro, to kind of get to the main meat of it and why this conversation I think is really important to the WISE community, is that I started to realize that I was a token black guy there. They hired me to be a social justice educator. And I noticed that when I started teaching, and I was trying to teach the girls about colorism and about, things of that nature. You remember that one video I sent to you, because
Right.
the girls were reading a book called The Skin I'm In. So then I showed them a video in the classroom about a young girl who was going through a whole bunch of drama and teenage issues, like I think in like 7th grade, whatnot. And I remember the parents going into an uproar saying, our children don't know anything about this. All they care about is teddy bears, ponies, and horses and stuff like that. They're trying to corrupt their minds. I'm telling you, when those emails were foul, when I'm telling you, bro, those emails were foul. They were super foul and disrespectful. I should have actually saved some of those just to remember all of that pain and stuff they put into it. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I cried.
Oh, of course.
I cried because at that point they were pouring the gasoline onto the fire after the school themselves. Although they wanted to vouch for me, they had to suspend me because the money itself on the school was being spent by the parents.
Right.
You have to remember, this was an all-girls private school. I remember a lot of my friends telling me. I remember, my soon-to-be brother-in-law. I remember Dejour telling me. Not the first thing out of his mouth wasn't congratulations. It was like, whoa, all-girls private school. yo, be careful, Kev. And I'm just like, why is everybody telling me to be careful? Like, I think I got this. I should be fine. Like, I carry myself pretty well wherever I go.
Right.
But I just remember him saying, be careful. I remember, Kyrene. I remember Kyrene telling me, oh, yo, be careful, bro. I don't know about that. I'm like, what? And then somebody else who I know in Connecticut told me, be careful. Bruh, I wasn't there at that job more than 2.5 weeks. Now I see why they said be careful. They said be careful because the type of pedagogy, the type of teaching instruction that I was trying to bring to that school, the people or the people who have been going to that school for generations, families have gone through that school, passed down traditions, they weren't ready for that. And if either they weren't ready for that, they just didn't want to meet that head on and have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they got me out of there, and I just remember it being so hard for me. And I was just like, I told them before I hung up the phone, I was like, you know what? Like when they were letting me go, I was like, these young ladies, they valued my teaching. Although I was only there for a week and a half, 2 weeks, believe whatever you want to believe, but I know that they truly liked me as a teacher and they valued my teaching. If you don't have the conversation now about race with them, it's only going to get harder because there's going to be some imploding moment within their lives, or whether they're in college, where there's going to be a conversation about race, and they're going to have to deal with it, and they're going to be very uncomfortable. And then they were telling me, oh, well, that's not true. They're not going to deal with that, blah, 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 whatever, whatnot. And what I realized is that they were insinuating that with their privilege and their culture, they'll never have to deal with that, because they're always going to go to like the best of the best schools and institutions of that nature. So they'll never have to deal with race and, things of conflict in between, like, colorism and race wars and just, just politics in that regard, So, the socioeconomics of impoverishment and stuff of that nature, Black American culture in general. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, all right, cool. That hit me hard, man. That hit me real, real hard. And so the reason why I bring all this up to you, bro, is because I'm actually publishing a piece on this on my Medium blog post account in about maybe like a week after this episode drops.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to send it to you because I want you to read it and I want you to tell me your thoughts. Awesome. when I publish it. But I just wanted to share my story out. So I figured writing it on the blog and as well as sharing it on the podcast was another way to do it. But I'm going to be honest with you, bro. With everything going on right now, especially after the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and you saw how the riots exploded here in New York with just the looting in Manhattan and Brooklyn and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden it's almost as if like black people were being protected.
Right.
It's almost as if like if you said one bad thing about a black person in your corporate office or in a Zoom meeting, there's a potential you might get fired.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I bring that up to you is because I wonder now, at this very point in time, if either the institution itself or the parents realized maybe we made a mistake on this brother.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, in that case, your last words definitely stuck with them. I'm sure it did, just because you left that with them, that eventually they will have to face this, and the children will have to approach this topic head on, and they will be uncomfortable. And then months later, we have these riots and these almost like revolts, against this police brutality and against systematic racism. So they definitely got a taste of what's to come. They literally, what you said happened months later, and they did have to face it. And now I'm sure they're implementing policies in the school to enforce equality and fight against discrimination, after they discriminated themselves and wrongfully eliminated you from the program. So it's interesting. It's interesting how the timeline plays out, because they definitely had to revisit the conversation, and the employees that are there now, I'm sure you are in the back of their minds every time there's some type of issue with any type of conversation regarding race, because I'm sure every single school, not even just school, every organization had to tackle the race issue a few months ago.
Yeah.
You got all different types of companies that never speak out against anything. They're now speaking about race.
Yeah.
And that's mind blowing. Down to Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah.
Talking about race, and it's just like, whoa! I've never heard a voice from Ben and Jerry's. Who?
Right.
You know, it's absolutely crazy. But at the end of the day, you know, people aren't looking for, you know, our people aren't asking for Nike to say, you know, we love black people, or any of these companies to say we love black people. We're asking you to stop killing us. You know, and they still don't get it. That is so funny that it's not funny, but they still don't get it because black people are saying, please stop killing us. And then they're going off and saying, hey, we're renaming this food Martin Luther King crab. It's like, wait a minute, no, we don't want a crab named after Martin. We want you to stop killing us.
Right.
Oh no. Well, we're gonna paint Black Lives Matter on the street. No, wait, no, we don't care about the street.
And they did.
Could you stop killing us? Oh no, but hold on, let's see what else we can do for you guys. It's like, wait a minute, we keep telling you what we want.
Right.
The world still doesn't get it. You know?
I think so. I truly believe that.
Yeah. It's just like, it's crazy. Like, you know, when your kid is crying because he just fell on the ground and scraped his knee, and then you hand him a lollipop, like, here you go, and he takes it and he's like, thanks. He forgets all about, you know, crying.
It's so true.
It's exactly what's happening now.
Yeah, like putting the Band-Aid on the wound. Yeah.
Oh, here's a lollipop. Forget all about what just happened at the doctor's office.
It's a fact.
Oh, you got people taking selfies in front of some cement that says Black Lives Matter. Whoa. This is about killing people, not, you know. You want to feel famous? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. It's just weird. I mean, and granted, you know, I'm sure it's a nice token of a gesture of love and appreciation, sure, but nobody's really asking for love and appreciation. They just said stop killing us.
Yeah.
And now it's crazy.
It's a fact.
Renaming streets and stuff. I mean, it looks great, man. I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing, but it doesn't solve the problem.
No, it's true.
Because at the end of the day, a cop can shoot you right on Black Lives Matter Avenue, and what did that do? The street name didn't change anything.
Right. No, that's true. It's true. 100%. And you know, it's interesting you say that. A couple of things, actually. If you were to come on my block right now, in Hartford, you know, because I'm on the border. I'm on the borderline of Hartford, West Hartford.
Right.
Like literally, like a lot of people just say I'm in West Hartford because it's essentially like a block away, like right around the corner from where I'm at. You know? Across the street from me and on my block, all my neighbors have Black Lives Matter picket signs.
Interesting.
You go down the street, my street that I live on, which is usually my jogging route, all throughout that strip, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Even up the hill where like a lot of like the mansions are and like where like the governor stays, you know, a lot of Black Lives Matter pickets. What's interesting though is some of them still don't say hi to me. Some of the people who live in those houses, they don't still, you know, when I jog, they just look at me like, what am I doing here? But also too, bro, ever since the outrage in these protest riots and whatnot, I've also been treated a lot better by white folks initially. Like when I'm out on my jog, I notice that they'll wave at me, and I'm just like, all right, I'll wave back just because I noticed that they're waving.
Right.
One time I was out on my jog, and I guess I was on the block and I was crossing this woman's house, beautiful, huge house she has. And she was gonna go, but when she saw me jogging on her block and literally past her driveway, she stopped her big sedan. She waved at me, and then she blew a kiss. I was just like, thanks. And I just kept, you know, but it wasn't like a kiss like seductive or anything like that. It was just like, oh, I didn't see you there. Hi. And I was just like, oh, wow. I took it as genuine as if she was just trying to be sweet, whatever, whatnot.
Right.
But I just went like this to her, okay, thank you. And I just kept, you know, running past. But as I ran past, I was just like, had I blown a kiss back at her, the mob would have been after me.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The mob would have been after me had I did something like that. But then I was just like, I wonder if her waving at me, because she realized she almost hit me, And the fact that she blew a kiss, I wonder if that's how she genuinely is as a woman, and she's passing down her affection and her love that she normally would have for white people or people of her own kind to me because of everything going on. Everybody knows what's going on, unless you're trying to just hide it, or you're trying to be oblivious and live under a rock. We all know what's going on right now with the protests and everything going on. And I feel as if you're white, you know about it more because you have all the privileges out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think it's really interesting, my brother, when all of these things happen, these things explode, and then here's the domino effect from it, which is why I thought about Ethel Walker. I don't mind saying it. Which is why I thought about that school, and which is why I thought about everything that happened as a result of teaching at that school, because of the fact that I warned them that something like this would happen, where the girls would have to face it head on, and they would have to be spoken to and be having candid conversations about what would be going on within their lifetime about race. I didn't expect it to happen so soon.
That's interesting.
You know?
Because having you there, the conversation would have been easier.
Yeah.
They lost the tool that they were looking for.
That's a fact.
Because isn't that what they were looking for? Someone
That's
to bring
true.
that opinion or mindset or understanding to their school. But it was really interesting. You know, what was the position called again? It was a social.
Oh, so I was the English teacher, but I was the English teacher who was billed to be the social justice educator.
Right, exactly. So they definitely lost the tool that they needed for a situation like this. They really ran you out of there, which is insane. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this cancel culture, bro. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. I think certain people deserve to be critiqued and criticized, because we're not certain people. Everyone deserves to be critiqued and criticized. We're all not perfect. We all have flaws, you know?
Right.
But at the same time, I feel as if I was canceled from that school. I didn't get a chance to redeem myself and show who I truly was. Because I put it to you this way, a lot of people in my life were telling me that I was wrong for showing that video, and that I should have known what was appropriate for that institution in order for it to be deemed as acceptable. You have to play the game within the rules and the confinements of what's going on within the institution. And looking back on it, I think those people were right in saying that to me.
Right. No, I mean, sure. Definitely, one could say that the video may not have been the best fit for the institution, but the confusion came because you were brought in to bring that different element.
Right.
So, you thought you had the green light to bring a different perspective and a different element.
Yeah.
But what happened was they closed the door and said, wait a minute, you don't know the rules? And it's like, wait, I thought you wanted me to bring this new perspective. It's like, it was hard to realize that there was still a rule book in place.
Right.
The same rule book that they said you had flexibility with to teach and
which is true,
and give them that different perspective. It was almost like a false door.
Yeah.
Like you open the door and there's another door.
Right.
And they should have communicated that better. I guess they expected
me to know.
Yeah, they expected you to know.
And they definitely told me that.
Yeah.
They marketed the whole entire position and just experience, or what it would be, as like, just think of it as mini college. So I just thought of it as like a mini college professor working with these smart, young, bright minds,
right,
and thinking I'm gonna, really add value in terms of bringing balance to their lives,
right,
in regards to what they've been experienced and exposed to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, that was a hard time for me. I learned a lot.
Yeah, man.
And I reflected a lot.
Yep.
How do I say this to you? I was focusing on my Goodwin University job as an adjunct professor at the time, but I barely was making through with rent.
Right.
That hit me hard, man, and it was just hard to get by, because the way everything was set up was that I was going to start stacking my bread with that job and never look back,
Right.
And what was so crazy, man, you know what? A couple of things. I took that job because I wanted to leave my people. I'm being honest.
Right.
I took that job because I wanted to leave my people. I wanted to be in a place where there were kids who were enriched, and I could push their enrichment and push them to another level that was already deemed possible because of their potential. You know, I wanted to be that educator that got a lot out of the time spent in the classroom because I didn't want to waste time, you know? When you're in an urban environment, urban public schools, a lot of time is wasted in the classroom because kids are cutting up, they're making jokes, you know, they're deflecting, they're stalling, they're fighting, and a lot of that is because of the fact that, and it's the truth, a lot of those students, they have deficiencies. They can't read, they can't write, they're illiterate, you know, they can't do math. You know, a lot of the basic necessities that they're supposed to have, a lot of the essential tools, they don't have that in their toolkit that's required or expected of an 8 or 9 year old. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So a lot of that is pertaining to that, and I think we as a society need to do a better job on shoring up those schools so that way we don't lose educators such as myself who truly has a passion for those kids and want to be there. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
But you know what I learned?
What?
Working at the private school, I learned from the very first day the parents saw me, they didn't want me to be there. They gave me that look like, what is this nigger doing here? Like I saw that look on their faces. The kids would come to me in the classroom and say, Mister, my parents asked me, what are we learning in your class? I was like, oh shoot, I'm on surveillance here. That's what that is. So I realized I was never going to be accepted. I was only going to be tolerated. And the worst part of it all was that the person or the people who led the charge in getting me out were actual black parents. Like they I don't want to say they pushed, but they overperformed in their anger of getting me out because I guess they were trying to let the white families know he's not a reflection of us, you know? I could be wrong in thinking that. But that's where my mind is going. I don't know.
No, I don't blame you in that thinking. I mean, we see that often. You know, just that over-exaggeration to confirm that I'm not like this one or I'm not like him. So it's tough, man. I mean, it's kind of like that crossroad where it's like I'm not able to show my true potential in a school of my own people. So let me go up to a different level where I can really shine. But you know, they in a sense they didn't want you to shine.
No, not at all. Not at all, man. Yeah, man. It was a very, very tough experience, bro. I don't think I ever told you this, but I left it with a lot of trauma.
What kind of trauma?
I would just replay those emails that I received from those parents in my head all the time, in my mind, just like constantly, because they were very scathing. They had a lot of racial undertones in them. You know what I'm saying? And I felt some type of way. They told me when I, once they got me out of there, they told me I can go back and pack up my classroom and that they was going to allow me to do that. I went back to the school, my shit was already packed. I was like, whoa. So why tell me that I get a chance to pack away my stuff? And they made me come at night too, so to kind of not allow me to be seen within the vicinity of the campus grounds and whatnot, you know?
That's intense.
I have again, and I'll say it one more time, I have no intentions on ever going back to work at a private school ever again, or even in Simsbury, Connecticut. It's very, I don't want to say very racist, because I don't think everyone's racist, you know what I'm saying? But it's very conservative in its thinking, you know, and its framework, obviously, and the framework within itself is a very privileged framework that stems back from generations and generations and generations of power and privilege and money, you know, and wealth. And one thing I did tell them too is that if you're ever going to hire a black educator, another black educator, whether a man or a woman, make sure you sit down with them and let them know what they can and can't do, because essentially you're wasting your time and our time too.
It's true. You thought it was an opportunity, but it was really just another cage. So,
you know,
it's really I mean, you wouldn't have known unless you tried it, though. We can always speculate.
We can always speculate.
Like a bunch of your friends, they said, oh, be careful. Okay, let me see for myself before I throw away opportunities. And, you know,
it was a great opportunity for me.
And if you didn't go for it, you would have been playing it safe. And you can't win playing it safe. You gotta be in it to win it.
That's a fact.
Ready for the L. So
that's a fact. And you know what I realized? We talk about this a lot on our show, and we talk about this a lot in general. our losses only show our true colors, and our losses only reflect who we truly are and how we persevere.
Yeah, it's true.
That was one of the first biggest L's I've ever taken in my actual young career as a professional, and it's made me stronger since then.
And it just gave you, that other, something else to keep in the back of your mind when you're in different environments.
Yeah.
You can't, even if they say you can do and say whatever, you can't.
Right.
Just like when the officer says it's all right to put your hands down, it's not a good idea to put your hands down.
It's a fact.
You know what I mean? I remember I had an instance when I was a younger kid. I was walking down the street, police stopped me. I was walking down the street, I put my phone in my pocket.
Yeah.
And they stopped me, and then they said, "We just saw you put the gun in your pocket."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh no, that's a phone." So I went to go for it. Of course, the guns came out.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled the guns out, and once they, I put my hands up, they searched me. They said, "All right, you can put your hands down now." I said, "No, I think it's a good idea for me to keep them up."
Wow.
You just accused me of having a gun,
Right.
and it was my cell phone. You can think my wallet's a gun too, so
Right.
I'm not putting these hands down.
Yeah,
So it's just like, even when they give you the rules, you can't always, take the advice.
It's true.
You got to go by your own internal advice.
And your intuition.
Yeah,
It's
because
very true.
sometimes it's a setup.
No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, 100%. I remember, I forgot what I was going to say. I remember even, after that job, if you do so recall as well, I started teaching at the high school as a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
I have all the love in the world for them. Shout out to Windsor Locks High School. I got all the love in the world for them. And I remember, I think this was actually one of the best times of my life working at the high school as a sub, because even though I wasn't really making any money or whatnot, I had a lot of time to think, reflect, grow, and think about the private school job.
Right.
And then on top of that too, I got a chance to go from being in this privileged institution,
Right.
to being this humble servant at this school as a substitute teacher, where I'm making $90 a day per diem,
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually, believe it or not, that's actually where a lot of the ideas and the origins of the Wise Guys actually happened. Because I remember that was a time where you and me were texting back and forth about a lot of things like business, race, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the office and just thinking of different things that we could actually do for our show,
Right.
Man, time flies. Time flies.
It's scary, man.
And so I remember the assistant. I'm gonna say her name.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna say her last name, but I'm still petty. I'm still a petty dude.
Yeah.
Amy.
Okay.
I'll leave it there. I'm not gonna give her full government, but I'll just say Amy.
Right.
Amy, if you're listening, hey. I remember Amy as a secretary assistant. So long story short, if none of the teachers are absent and they have nowhere to put you, they'll put you in the main office filing paperwork and stuff like that. So I felt like I was right back in Queensboro,
Right.
doing all that stuff again. I remember Amy wanted me to separate the papers. She wanted me to separate names, like basically permission slips that the kids had to go on a field trip. She wanted me to put them in order and put them in a binder.
Right.
And she was like, "Okay, they're already alphabetized. I just need you to put the yeses over here and the no's over here." I was like, "All right, fine." So I started doing that, whatnot.
Right.
I'm like, man, more than likely I'll be back in here tomorrow. I've been in this office for 2 days already. I'm not gonna try to finish all this up. I was like, man, I'm gonna do as much as possible, and then after that, I'm gonna milk this until tomorrow.
Right.
I come back the next day. I keep adding to it. I go to use the restroom. I come back, and then she's standing right in front of the pile. And then she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Nothing. I just went to the bathroom." She was like, "Why isn't all this work finished?" I was like, "Oh, I'm about to finish it in like the next 15 minutes. Just give me time." She was like, "Well, yesterday you had 4 hours. What took you so long?" I was like, I was just putting the yeses and the no's separate, and I was alphabetizing them all. I was like, but they're already alphabetized. I was like, yeah, but the yeses and nos were all mixed together. I needed to separate them and all this other stuff. And then she was just like, she was basically like, I feel as if you're making this job more harder than it needs to be, you know, just saying all this stuff. And I sat down, bro. I almost lost it. Part of me was like, go Goku on her. But I was just like, I'm gonna just chill.
Yeah.
And I said, I could go hood sensei mode. I was like,
right.
We're not gonna use that level. I was like, let's go corporate, professional. I'm kind of shitting on you, but still in a respectful way, black man mode.
Right.
So I hit that button. And after I hit that button, I told her, look, first and foremost, I'm gonna need you to watch your tone and watch how you're speaking to me.
Right.
I feel as if the way you're talking to me right now is very condescending. I was like, I went to school, I graduated with a couple of degrees, and I was like, I've held other jobs teaching or working in an office. That is not how you would speak to anyone else, or any of the other people here within this room, within this office.
That's true.
So with that being said, I'm also 28 years old. I'm gonna be 30 in like 2 years. I'm not 22 years old, I'm not a kid. So I need you to respect me the same way I respect you and not speak to me like that.
Right.
And then she was like, but I wasn't talking to you that way. Like, she just got really defensive and really dismissive. I was just like, I'm just telling you what it is. If you don't like it, whatever. She's like, all right, just give me the binder. So I gave her the binder, and then she just stormed off. I'm just like, she could be upset all she wants. I'm just telling her what it is.
You have to.
And you know why I decided to let her know about herself within that time frame, Mark? Is because the day prior, when she had given me the binder, she said, hey, look what I had for you. And she just took the binder and she threw it and just dropped it right in front of my face. I was just like, what the heck?
It's like dehumanizing you in a way. It's really disrespectful.
That was a microaggression.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, what is that? What is that? Her saying, well, what took you so long to get this done? You've been working on another microaggression. And the principal calls me into his office, says, oh, well, you haven't been doing what you're supposed to be doing. I see you on your phone a lot, whatever. Which is true. I was on my phone. Mm-hmm. The plans are already made. The teacher leaves everything for the kids. All you have to do is give them the worksheets, and the kids just do their work, whatever, whatnot.
Right.
I'm sitting in front of the class. I don't have to instruct. I don't have to teach. What else do you want me to do? What else do you want me to do? Of course I'm going to be on my phone. There's nothing for me to do. I've taken attendance already. I made sure everyone is here. Anyone that needs to go to the restroom, they ask me. I give them a pass. If they want to come talk to me, we talk. We have a good conversation. And after that, that's it. What else do you want me to do? And I said, okay, you know what? It's a school policy. If the kids aren't allowed to have their phones, so should the teachers, even if they are a sub. I said, all right, cool, fine. I'm reading books now because I see the other substitute teacher, white kid, just graduated college. He's reading books. I'm like, I might as well read my books too. But when I'm in the classroom that I'm covering for the day, reading a book or whatnot, I notice teachers walking up and down the hallway, looking, seeing what's going on, staring. I'm like, I'm being surveillanced.
Yep.
The other two white substitute teachers, I wonder if they're... No, of course not, Kevin. It's just you. It is just you. And then when the principal called me into his office, about the whole phone thing or whatnot, he's like, and also about this binder, somewhat, you know what? I'm not going to get into that right now. The very same binder that she threw at me, that I was like, look, all the work is done, and I told her, don't speak to me like that. I feel as if when it comes to white folks sometimes, especially, don't kill me for this, white women, I feel as if they don't like being corrected, especially by a black man. If he's speaking his truth and he's saying how he feels.
Interesting.
The moment she stormed off, I knew he was going to go receive that information. I knew she was going to tell on me.
Yep.
But I was ready for it because it's like, I'm standing in my truth. It is what it is.
It's true.
And I say all that to say, I was in ISS one day, inside school suspension, and I was supposed to be watching this kid. I was reading the Bible, actually, in novel form. There's actually a novel form of the Bible that actually is written like a novel.
Oh, wow.
Without the chapters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep, bro. I closed my eyes for 30 seconds. I opened my eyes. I saw the assistant principal looking at me. She stared into my eyes and gazed into them for 7 seconds. And then she disappeared. I was like, that's a death sentence.
Yeah.
A couple moments later, one of the other assistants came in from the office and was like, the principal would like to see you. He'd like to speak with you. I was like, okay, cool. All right, well, is it okay if I leave my stuff here? She's like, no, I think you should take it with you. I was like, all right, well, this is it.
Yeah.
So I took my stuff and I went in there and I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, what's going on? He was like, hey, man, so you fell asleep in ISS? I was like, yeah. I mean, it wasn't really long. It was only 40 seconds. My eyes closed or whatever, whatnot. I didn't mean to, sir. It's just, my eyes drooped. He was like, you can't do that, man. You're working with kids. We've worked with kids before, right? You know how this goes. I was like, yes, I understand, sir. He's like, I'm sorry. White male. He was like, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I get it. It's fine. Sure. I said, I understand. He was like, I'm sorry, man. I hate to do this, but even if one of our own teachers were falling asleep, we would tell them to go home as well. Get this. He said even if one of our own teachers were sleeping, we would tell them to go home as well. But he would suggest that they go home and get some rest. He wouldn't fire them.
Yep, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
He gave you the message right there.
And I didn't have him expound upon that because a part of me felt like saying, well, let me ask you something, sir. If it was one of your full-time teachers and you saw them falling asleep and they were white, would you have fired them too? I should have said that. Part of me felt like I should have asked that question.
Yeah.
Might have been too much, though.
That would have been a bit much.
That might have been a bit much.
But it might have been what he needed to put things into perspective.
I should have done it.
Yeah.
I personally feel as if I should have done it. Even though I knew I was fired, even though I knew I got fired at that moment, it would have felt good for me if I could have just got that out just so he could think on it moving forward the same way I made Ethel Walker think when I left them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense.
So I leave, and that's the end of that. And as I'm heading to the car, actually, I text you. You were the first person I text. I was like, yo, bro, I got fired again. You were like, again, what happened? And I was like, long situation, but I'll explain it to you. And I think we eventually caught up that same day or the day after over text or over the phone. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, Kev, don't worry about it. It's all part of your story, man. You was like, what you're building is bigger than all of the stuff that's occurring to you right now,
Right.
Truly dark period of my life last year, man. 2019, the fall of 2019, losing both of those jobs and taking those L's. But when I took the second L, it didn't feel as bad as the first because it was like, you're going to bounce back from this too.
Oh, yeah. At that point, I mean, you've experienced losses. So
right.
This loss was just like, all right, cool. I can get another one.
Right. That was literally, I remember, a week and change before Christmas. It was probably like December 15th or 16th that happened. Or maybe I'm lying, like December 11th. So like 2 weeks, December 10th, December 11th. So about 2 weeks before Christmas.
Wow.
But what was crazy was that I actually had a job interview that was scheduled anyway. A callback, basically, job interview.
Right.
Scheduled for the next day at the program that I work at now.
Yes, things, they just happen to line up perfectly.
And it's interesting because now that I'm working with these kids who are in the system and they've been in juvenile detention and they're trying to, reform and show that they're capable of changing to go home and being discharged. Mm-hmm. You know what's going on right now with the album and making the music.
Oh, yeah.
This is where I needed to be the whole entire time. I never should have left.
Wow. Helping your people. Yeah.
It all came back full circle for me.
That's a beautiful thing, man. It always does. Always go back to your roots eventually.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to share this story today, in regards to what I experienced, because I feel as if there's so many people out there who have these stories, but they never get shared. For example, I think someone put this in our comments. I'm gonna try to find it actually on the Wise Guys page, and it basically talked about their struggle in having to deal with, how do I say this, bro? Having to deal with working at a job where they couldn't be their true, authentic self, And it really hit me, And I just couldn't believe it. Have you ever dealt with that? Like, have you ever felt as if you couldn't just be your own authentic self in the workplace, or just?
Well, I mean, at work, I don't think one can ever be their true. For me, on the other hand, I don't think so. Well, I think it really depends on the culture or environment that you're working in.
Right.
Because, if you're working amongst your own people, of course, it's amazing. You have the open green light to truly, be yourself. But I feel like when you're in different communities or different parts of society where your true self may not be accepted,
right,
you do have to conform a bit.
Right.
And that's just survival.
Right.
So I feel like there's sometimes you just have to know when to tweak and when not to tweak, And sure, the work environment is definitely evolving now, and now they're being a lot more inclusive and a lot more, accepting of people being their true selves, and just allowing their personality to shine through. But certain companies like a cookie cutter, mold each employee to act the same. The way they approach the customer, the way they speak. They have a script.
Right.
So I don't think you can always be your true selves. A lot of the time there is, instances where you do have to conform.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely, brother.
What was that? Yeah. So pretty much, that's just pretty much how I see things.
Yep. And so, I'm going to read this thing before we wrap it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, what I wanted to share with you real quick, so you get your thoughts on this. So this young lady said in the comments, this was 11 weeks ago, we posted this for one of our episodes.
Right.
And she said, when it comes to being yourself and authentically black in the workplace, it can go wrong. I had a coworker who kept it real in a discussion we had at work on the production floor. It was a diverse group of us, and the topic was a heated debate about race and the experiences people had. He said some things unfiltered, and it later got him fired. It wasn't the white coworkers who were in the discussion who complained. It was a person who was listening in on the conversation. 4 or 5 years after he was fired, he still didn't have a job. It tarnished his reputation within our industry. But we can never be 100 at work. You never know who will take something the wrong way, and one statement can ruin your career.
Yep. If someone's in power, you choose not to conform. Sometimes there's consequences that last a lifetime.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I think we pretty much said everything that needs to be said today.
Definitely, a lot of wise words said.
Absolutely. So, let's wrap up the show. I'll start off first. My word to the wise today for our word to the wise segment is reflect. And the reason why I say reflect, bro, is because I feel as if, like, with those situations at Ethel Walker and at Windsor Locks High School in Connecticut, me being able to experience those losses and actually humbly take them in and think about what went wrong and how I could have, if not avoided them, learned from those situations,
right,
only made me a better person and the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
But I was planning on living my life with not experiencing no losses. But I'm trying to be the boss and the CEO of Flowered Concrete. Right. I got to go through losses if I'm trying to build myself up in my business, man, and just my life.
Exactly.
Losses are essential to the game and as well as to overall growth and development. So that's my wise word for today. Reflect. Always reflect on negative situations, positive situations, in order to better yourself. What's your word to the wise before we get out of here?
I'll go with just fearlessness. You just want to approach life without any fear, because as you and I say all the time, we started at ground zero. We have nothing to lose.
Right.
So if you do take a loss, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Now you've learned something and you can take that and move forward. And now you're even more prepared for the next journey. So
right.
If we can just embrace fearlessness and just approach life with a, I have nothing to lose mentality, you will win.
That's a fact.
Yep. In the end, you'll win.
100%.
Yep.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is our episode for today. The Wise Guys, as you know, you can find our podcast online, all right, on our homepage, www.floweredconcrete.net/TheWiseGuys. And when I say backslash, I say /the-wise-guys. Yes, that's it. The Wise Guys. Also, find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Breaker, Castbox, Anchor, YouTube, wherever podcasts are found, ladies and gents. Okay, this show is streaming all over. We're doing really good. Syndicated in about 5 or 6 different countries: Italy, Germany, France, Canada, India. It's looking pretty good right now for the Wise Guys.
Absolutely, all around the world.
All around the world. So we appreciate all of our supporters and all of you out there that are currently tuned in to us. All right. So for next week's episode, ladies and gentlemen, next week's episode of The Wise Guys will be episode 32. All right. Yes, episode 32. A Boy's Redemption. All right. That features a good friend of mine named Larry. He's going to be coming onto the show. Very, very good friend of mine. He's a co-worker of mine, but he's going to be coming on the show to talk about his business and as well as what he currently does that affects the youth within the community. So with that being said, as I said at the beginning of the show, this is your boy, Kevin Anglad.
And this is Mark Pruden.
And we are the Wise Guys Podcast. Please, please, please be sure to leave us a review, all right? on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review and rate us, okay? We would really appreciate it, for sure. And with that being said, we'll see you next week.
Stay wise, guys.